Good day, class. My name is Janika Gordon, and I am going to be starting the PowerPoint on the impact of slavery in the Caribbean. The rich legacy of African roots, which was embraced by slaves to form bonds with one another during the perils of slavery, has had an enormous impact on the Caribbean. Many members of Caribbean society have witnessed firsthand the rapid cultural expansion as slaves transformed their suffering into art. Michael Crichton and Gail Saunders state African culture contributed to capturing the applications and triumphs of our forefathers confronted over time. Though some contend that slavery has had a negative impact as it pertains to the over-sexualization of black women, illiteracy through Creole verbatim, and the promotion of black magic. Stuff like storytelling, dialect, and music are major factors that have established national identity within countries like the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Okay, let's start off with our cultural identity and music. The transatlantic slave trade brought brought the African diaspora to the Caribbean, introducing lively percussion rhythms and call and response singing styles that were essential in shaping genres such as reggae and dancehall in Jamaica, gumbe and rake and scrape in the Bahamas, and calypso and steel pan music in Trinidad and Tobago. The establishment of British colonies in Jamaica and other Caribbean islands also led to the development of music styles like ska and rocksteady, which combine with which combine African beats with European genres, which blended into a very unique style of music that we have today. Reggae music, which was born in Jamaica in the late 1960s, it was created from ska and rocksteady. It embodies the utilization of Caribbean popular culture for defiance and self-expression. Originating in marginalized Jamaican communities, artists like Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, and Jimmy Clef address issues of poverty, inequality, and social injustice through their music. Reggae's powerful message of unity, freedom, and empowerment resonate globally, serving as anthems for social change and resistance against oppression. Empathized by songs which comes from the artist Bob Marley, Redemption Song, and Peter Tosh, Equal Rights. Next, we go Calypso music. Calypso music, which originated in Trinidad and Tobago, has a deep-seated history of cultural resistance and social commentary. Initially serving as a means of communication for oppressed slaves, it evolved into a powerful tool for decimating information and critiquing societal issues. During its peak in the 1920s and early 1930s, Calypso solidified its style and structure, becoming a trusted source of news for many islanders. Calypsonians like the Mighty Sparrow and Lord Kitchener used their music to challenge colonialism, colonialism, man, social inequality, and political corruption, pushing the boundaries of free speech. Categorized by clever lyrics addressing contemporary events and social concerns, Calypso remains a potent vehicle for raising awareness and sparking dialogue. Next, we move on to soca music. Soca music also originated in Trinidad and Tobago, but it was later on in the 1970s. It fused with calypso with various genres like soul and Indian rhythms. It gained rapid popularity for its vibrant sound and became synonymous with carnival festivals. Artists such as Michael Montano and Destra Garcia use soca to celebrate Caribbean culture, address social issues like gender equality, and promote environmental preservation. Soca serves as a platform for Caribbean communities to express pride in their to express pride in their heritage and advocate for positive change. Junkanoo. Music takes center stage during national cultural celebrations, and the most perfect example is coming from my hometown, Bahamas. Junkanoo. Junkanoo is a cultural event that takes place every Christmas and New Year and New Year's Eve. In his biblical order, Junkanoo in the Bahamas, Clement Battle cites argues that Junkanoo is thought to be named after the slave John Canoe. It's pretty it's pretty unique, isn't it? We wouldn't have had the name Junkanoo if it wasn't for the slave that brought their teachings. You see what I'm saying? But during the celebration, slaves would dance and sing in the streets or inside the plantation grounds where they worked. The evolution of Junkanoo to include larger costumes, more vibrancy, and instruments like the trumpet is the difference between the past and now. So there was like a really good, good like design between like influence from slaves celebrating the festival to now, like as we keep on evolving and making our own culture. But also, it comes with controversy. Some individuals label cultural festivals in the Caribbean as profanity and vulgar. They argue that they disrespect and objectify black women. The objectification and the objectification linked to soca and dancehall music, like when they see them just dancing out in the road and just singing. As some claim, they depict black women's sexuality in a twisted way, portraying them as aggressive and proactive. The notion that black women are overly sexualized originated from the black woman's reduction to the racial categorization of Jezebels, whose formation was founded on enslavement. So if you go back in history, you can really see like where this whole sexualization of black women started. But however, festivals like Junkanoo and Soca festivals are viewed as more family friendly alternatives. Not family friendly, although, but more family friendly alternatives. I have to make that correction. More alternatives, allowing for creative expression and the preservation of Caribbean culture, drawing parallels to the traditional African art forms such as fire dances and ring plays. All right, let's move on. Cultural identity within language in the Caribbean. Language in the Caribbean. The results of colonization in the Caribbean are reflected in our linguistic diversity. One distinctive quality that makes us unique is our dialect. Our indigenous language and African verbatim are mixed together to create a multitude of Creole languages. The Caribbean islands including Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Guyana, and the Bahamas, saw the establishment of English as the dominant language following English colonization, which was a result from slavery. While colonization in the places such as Haiti, Martinique, and Guadeloupe resulted in the development of French Creole languages alongside French. So you can see the really comparison, like why there's such a big difference in Creole in languages, because yeah, the fusion of European languages with African, indigenous, and other local languages has led to the development of Creole language specific to the Caribbean, representing the region's cultural richness and varied linguistic traditions. Example phrases. Okay, I'm gonna say it, and you probably gonna listen. So the first one we gonna say gal. We say gal. That means girl, and we use it in the Bahamas. The next phrase I'm gonna say is boy, and this can refer to anybody. Like, boy, come over here. Like, boy, what you doing? Like, just example phrases that what you can use. And then the next term is little pickney. Like they just refer to as children in Jamaica. And then this one was a favorite when I put it in Junsa. We just say Junsa. I know I probably spelled it wrong, but we say Junsa. That's like a person, like a homeless person in the Bahamas. Like, like when you see a bum on the road. Not saying a bum, like I'm not trying to derogatory them, but a bum on the road. And then I'm gonna say brethren, which means like a brother or a friend. Like, that's my brethren, boy. That's my friend. That's my brother. You see what I'm saying? We use it in the Bahamas as well. And then have to pick this up. You know. It means you have to. It's giving you a sense of direction, a sense of, yeah, you have to. And then this was a new one that what I found out is crosses. I know it was a popular song that named Crosses, so I had to figure out what it means. It means a Salvador female who always thinks she's right. So it's basically like uh, an airhead in a way, like. But yeah, and if you find any more, you could leave a like and leave it in the comments, and if you can name some as well. So let's move on. All right, cultural identity and folk tales. Folk tales from the Bahamas are precious and ingrained in the culture and religiously passed down to subsequent generations. They talk about religious principles that underpin their perception of life and narrate stories from their ancestors. Every folk tale is significant in and of itself, and each one conveys a different story or lesson. Storytelling and the ancient West African religion, voodoo, were performed covertly as a way of holding on to their West African customs despite living in a nation that devalued them. During the times of slavery, coping habits such as oral storytelling was essential to mental well-being as they assisted slaves with day-to-day hardships. The telling of folk tales from the Bahamas has been a long-standing tradition. Oh, I missed a click that. Has been a long-standing tradition. Folk tales are elaborate narratives containing profound moral lessons such as proverbs and yeah. Endurance stories, I'll say an endurance story, example of endurance story is that narrated from the viewpoints of two characters, Babuki and Barabi. It's commonly narrated on televisions and in schools. The author of these fables, Charles Edwards, has a large, complete compilation of amusing and satirical folklore that are enjoyable to read and listen to this day. Hmm. Some contend, but also there has to be comes controversies when it comes to folk tales. Some contend that certain elements of Bahamian storytelling elevate Obeah. In the Bahamas, Obeah is despised of and against the law in a way. Those dabbling with magic and communicating with the dead gave Africans those dabbling with magic and communicating with the dead gave Africans a relative sense of peace during a traumatic circumstances. Many Bahamians view the practice of black magic as evil, since many use it for wicked practices to bring harm to others. The Bahamas is a Christian nation, which means that any sort of ritual that goes against holy belief in God will not be tolerated. An example of a folklore that glorifies Obeah stems from Charles Edwards, as we go again, The Woman and the Bellboy. This particular tale tells the tale of a witch who, if someone mistreated her, turned them into a rock or stone. In order to befriend the witch, the protagonist's grandmother cautions her grandson to talk some and laugh more. She says to tell him to not let his tongue get him in troubles. Sadly, he didn't listen and ignored the advice. And one day, when he does meet the witch, who's in disguise, she reveals her identity after he rudely confronts her and turns him into a bell. So as you can see, like only really how she's a witch, she's using Obeah, which is causing harm to others. So that's why we view it as a way. We view it as a way in that it's unholy because there's no one going around turning people into bell, right? But yeah, but despite controversy surrounding Obeah in Bahamian folklore, wait, though such stories glorify black magic, folk tales are vital because of their intricate plot and ability to impart moral lessons. For the sake of preserving Bahamas culture, this is the main reason I believe that having Bahamian folklore in the 21st century is beneficial. So I would like to thank you for making it this far. And culture profoundly shapes individuals' worldviews, encompassing beliefs and interests, reflecting the influence of historical experience such as slavery, yet also preserving ancestral customs inherited from Africa. Despite criticisms of negative impacts from slavery, including the hypersexualization of women and the promotion of illiteracy, Caribbean culture has evolved to form a unique identity, emphasizing tight knit communities and kinship ties akin to those in African societies. Preser- Preserving culture remains paramount as it safeguards identity and heritage, highlighting the importance of maintaining traditions amid ongoing societal changes and challenges. Given that despite the reapproach, the right, the right, despite the, do you know the, despite the reapproach that follows slavery, it is crucial to maintain the culture within the Caribbean. As the saying goes, your identity is lost when your existence is lost. And I thank you for listening to my PowerPoint. I thank you for listening to my PowerPoint. I thank you for giving me the time to listen to this lesson. I really put in a lot of time. And if you have any comments or any advices, you can always leave it in the comment section that I really enjoy. I really enjoy listening to advice. But thank you for listening once again. My name is Janico Gordon, and this was my presentation.